Ladies and gentlemen, this is a special video where I am joined by one of the only Dolphin fans I think I've ever gotten along with, Elite Takes, even though I know that he is lying drastically about his height. But Nico, I appreciate you for being here and taking the time out of your day, man.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be there, and I am just so happy that everyone can see that even on camera, my face is like a little more elevated than yours, even sitting down. But you know, we couldn't do the in-person meetup, but all the way across America, I still think it's pretty apparent where we're at with that.
No, I was shocked. I think you did a TikTok a long time ago where you went and dunked. You showed that you could dunk. And that's where
Yeah.
I found out you were. I was like, staring at my screen. I was like, there's no way you're actually that tall. No, I was stunned.
No, everyone says I look really small on camera, but
No,
hope I don't look small right now.
no, you do look small on camera. You don't look tiny, but you look like me. I mean, I'm 5'11", and that's, with a good pair of shoes, I'm 6 feet tall. So I'll take
There
that.
you go. There you go. That's all you need. 6 feet. That's all you need.
So just kind of diving into some stuff that happened today. How are you feeling after the chop scare?
I'm feeling a lot better now that he posted on IG that he'll be all right. But I was just like, come on, man. We already lost our best corner, and it's hard to get excited about this team to begin with. But if we're gonna lose some of our best young players, that's when you're really gonna get me to check out, because I can't even get excited about the future if he's not on the field balling out. So I'm very glad that it was nothing more than just your typical training camp carted off scare, which seems like 50% of those do amount to nothing, thankfully.
Yeah, no, and I think a lot of it is, just people being super cautious with their players, and they don't want to
Yeah.
assume the worst, but you want to get them the best, eyes on them as possible. So sometimes that does involve them getting on a cart and whatnot. But, it's like you
Oh yeah.
said, it's a good thing that he's okay. So with like the Dolphins kind of on the subject right now, I'm wondering if, and maybe you're already here, but what will it take for you to want to move on from McDaniel as your head coach?
What would it take for me to want to move on? I mean, I'm not a big defender of him to begin with. But I'll say this: what it would take for me to move on is probably a playoff win. That's probably what it would take. I would need Tua to stay healthy for the year. Or, if Tua goes down, I need one of our backups to come in and be serviceable, because that's honestly one of my biggest problems with McDaniel is how disastrous the season was last year. He couldn't work around Tyler Huntley whatsoever, and they just haven't had good quarterbacks to begin with in the backup room. So yeah, no, I think this season, it's not my expectation. It's not my prediction for the season, but if they don't go out there and win a playoff game, or if they just come out and Tyreek's causing all this drama and he doesn't have the locker room in check, and we're getting pummeled on every 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, and it just doesn't seem like we've gotten any more physical whatsoever. If we can't show some fight in the games like Buffalo, that's all that I'm just looking for growth, man. I'm just looking for a little more toughness late in the year. And obviously a healthy season from Tua, and hopefully we can win a playoff game. It's not my expectation, but it's the only thing that would make me a big believer in him again. And at a certain point, if you're not a big believer and it's been 4 years, then it's completely understandable to move on, in my opinion.
No, and I think that's a good way to look at it. I know I've been vocal. I can't stand the guy. I can't. I think this whole outside the box thinking that they keep trying to project him as, he's this big mastermind for a guy that, every time he really gets into a big game that you must win, you guys always seem to come up a little bit short. And then on top of that, his I say it in quotations, comedy, which I don't think he's funny one bit. And I think that it just drives me a little bit more crazy. So I won't be shocked. And segueing kind of out of that, what are your thoughts if McDaniel goes out, and this will never happen, but they bring in John Gruden?
Oh man. I mean, listen, I think Gruden honestly would be better suited for college football at this point, because he wasn't the best X's and O's guy by the time he was out of there. Like, his offenses were not that dynamic. He definitely brings a level of competency. But I honestly think that Gruden is best fit to take like an SEC job or something. Like, he's doing all this content for Barstool now. He's just a super dynamic personality. I think that would be a real recruiting weapon more than anything. More than NFL head coaches, it's all more about the X's and O's, and I just don't think that he'd be maximizing his skill set at this point. But man, if he came to Miami, I'm not sure it would be an upgrade, to be completely honest, because I know at least Mike McDaniel has some innovative bones in his body. Who knows about the culture stuff though? It's hard for me to like quantify culture and how valuable that really is versus, just having a good roster and a guy that makes good game management decisions, which we don't know. He's been out of the game for a while, so who knows if he's been studying.
Yeah, no, and I kind of agree with what you said there. I didn't really think about the college thing, but you are right. He's a gritty guy, and players would go to play for him, kind of like with Prime.
Yeah.
People would just go to play for John Gruden. So that's an agreement on my end, too. There's one more thing about the Dolphins, and I think I saw something about you talking about him, and I might get his name wrong, but I think that you guys have something in that running back who was just doing everything in the preseason. Was it Ollie Gordon, number 6?
Yes, Ollie Gordon.
He was everywhere. He ran, he caught, and he was productive like the entire time he was playing. Like it's like if he doesn't make the actual team, that'd be kind of ridiculous. So
Yeah, no, I think he's gonna make the team. I'm still dubious as to whether they're gonna give him serious touches in games. I've seen enough. I want him to be the short yardage guy. I mean, the way he dove into the end zone and he was dragging defenders all over the place. That's exactly what we need right now. I wasn't the biggest fan of the pick because Damian Martinez was on the board at the time and he was super productive in the exact same stadium that the Dolphins play in. But now I understand the decision because Ollie Gordon is physical and boy do we need that. I mean that catch he made on 4th down, especially late in the game, was something that really moved the needle for me, man. I was really excited by the way he played. He just showed something that I haven't seen from any of the Dolphins' weapons in a long time, which is just that ability to drag defenders and take it to them between the tackles.
no, that's what I'm like. He kind of reminded me a little bit of like well, he doesn't have the fumble problem, I hope, but like kind of what Tyrone Tracy showed last year, just a lightning bolt right out of the gut. So I
Yeah.
liked what I saw out of him for sure. Going on to a little bit of another focus on a different team in a way. I just have a theory that I was thinking about today when walking my dogs, and I wanted to know what you said. So with the Minnesota Vikings losing Jordan Addison for 3 games and then Rondale Moore now for another season, talk about being unlucky. Do you have any thought or speculation or opinions on the possible Adam Thielen reunion?
Ooh, I think Carolina loves Adam Thielen. I mean, especially with some of those gutsy grabs that he made late in games from Bryce. I don't think that he would come back to Minnesota. I do think Minnesota is probably going to acquire another receiver. I know people have thrown out KJ Osborne, which I think would be a great fit. I mean, he had good moments as a wide receiver 3 for Kevin O'Connell, like in 2022, and he's not getting much run on the Commanders, I don't think. But Thielen, I think that's a bit of a long shot just because Carolina recognizes his value, and that's just how it goes sometimes. They want at least one vet for Bryce on top of all those young guys, I think. Maybe Renfro takes his job though. That could be the interesting thing is if they like Renfro enough, they might feel good about shipping Thielen off.
Renfro's an easy guy to forget about too. I feel like I haven't heard his name in a couple of years. I just want to live on the dream that we might get our Minnesota hero back. And I know that
That
we
would be
are
awesome.
now kind of focusing on our own little circle of teams here. But as of this morning, James Cook finally got his extension with the Buffalo Bills. Were you ever under the impression that he wasn't, and I guess I'll kind of go here with my take, because were you under the impression he wasn't going to play? Because for me, it was always kind of said that he or thought that he was going to play because you don't show up to these practices, and I feel like he was pretty engaged with the team the entire time, which led me to believe that whether it was him just playing out his rookie contract or getting the extension, he was going to be present.
Yeah, I think with that one, it was actually, I was a little bit more dubious on the Bills side, how motivated they would be to get that done, because I really liked the Bills running back room behind him with, Ty Johnson and Ray Davis. I think those guys really showed some nice flashes. That's kind of a plug and play offense, and it's been for a while. They've been cheap getting weapons around Josh Allen, and it's worked for the most part. But I think what really made it easy for everyone is that Kyron Williams set the market, same draft class, same production. When he signed that extension like a week ago, it really wasn't that expensive. And I think that kind of gave the Bills the leverage to get James Cook's price down. I know he was pushing for like real top of the market, and now he's not even in the top 5, I don't believe, at least in value per year. So I think that's what got it done. I don't think James Cook ever really wanted to sit out. I think the Bills kind of knew that they were in a good position and they didn't necessarily need him, but I think it's good to have him back because he was really good last year. I mean, it truly was a breakout season for him.
No, he was incredible, and like I was trying to be vocal on it. I never wanted him to leave, but at the same time, I wasn't going to be willing, and not that I had any say, but I'm not going to be willing to pay him $15 million a year because that's insanity. Last little discussion topic before we get into a ranking and some questions. And this was news to me this morning, and I don't know how long ago it was said, but what are your thoughts on, and we all kind of knew this was the thing, but Travis Kelce finally admitting maybe he focused a little bit too much on the spotlight of fame rather than playing last year, and that played a factor in his descent.
That one, I'm not sure if it really did play a factor because I thought more than anything he just looked slower out there. Like Father Time had hit him a bit. He's just not as smooth as a route runner, not as explosive after the catch. Maybe that means he wasn't training enough. I don't quite see that. I think he's just trying to I think he's just trying to hold himself accountable in the ways he can, but I don't think that really had an impact on his play. Probably just a good PR move on his part to take some accountability with that.
Yeah, no, I see both sides of it because to me, you can look at it. The guy's old. He is ancient. What, mid 30s now? Might be 36 even. And at that point, you are going to slow down. But it's also like he starts doing all this stuff with Taylor Swift, and his career really does start falling. But at the same time, what are you going to do when you're that age? So
Yeah, I know.
I can see the little
It's
bit from both worlds there for sure. Little ranking we have here now. I just threw together a quarterback ranking. I'm going to give you five
Sure.
quarterbacks, and I want you
Okay.
to, worst to first to worst, tell me who you would take. So the quarterbacks in question are Cam Ward, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, Anthony Richardson, Shedeur Sanders.
Okay. Okay. First of all, okay, I'll say my number one pick is going to be Michael Penix.
Really?
I like Penix. I thought he played really well at the end of last season, and I just feel like all that we've last seen of him has been pretty encouraging. Even like at Washington, the way he played in the college football playoff against Texas, that was an amazing game. Then he goes in, and granted, not against great defenses, but I thought he made some really clutch plays in the Washington game. I thought he had some really impressive throws in the Carolina game. I think that Michael Penix is really going to sling it this year. I think that he's going to establish himself as one of the better pocket passers in the league, and he's just going to be able to take on a lot of volume. I think that's going to be a high flying passing attack. And at two, I'll go with JJ. I'll go with JJ. I think JJ would have been my number one quarterback in this year's class. I think he's accurate. I think he's got good athleticism. I think he's a good fit for the Vikings offense, man. He's shown every time we've seen him in the preseason that he can make those throws over the middle of the field, and I don't think they're going to ask him to do everything, and I don't necessarily think he's capable of being a superhero at this point. But I do feel very solid about him coming in and not being a disaster, whereas the other three are definitely unknowns at this point. I guess then at three, I'm gonna go with Cam Ward. I'm gonna go with Cam Ward.
Okay.
I'll take him over AR. I mean, I obviously had him ranked over Shedeur going into the draft, and I think he had just as cool of a preseason debut as Shedeur. To be honest, I think he might have an interception problem, he might have a sack problem, but at the end of the day, he's gonna make a lot of wow throws, and he's gonna bring something to the Titans offense that they haven't had. He's a real spark plug in my opinion. We'll see how much he develops. Between Shedeur and AR, it's probably closer than a Colts fan would want me to say. Oh, that's a tough one because I'll say AR. I'll say AR. I mean, he's a guy that it's a little upsetting to me considering how much I used to believe in him, how long it took me to decide that. But I do think that AR has made some improvements in his game this offseason. Obviously, much more of a rushing threat and much more of a downfield passer than Shedeur is really going to ever be able to be. But I'll say this: Shedeur is a lot closer to being a starting level quarterback than most fifth round picks should be. He was definitely underdrafted, but I'll put him in last.
No, I think that's a very good ranking. It shocks me of your first placement of Penix, and I'll go over that. And your JJ
Sure.
at 2, I like that a lot actually. It's respect. So I guess I'll go worst to first here. I
Sure.
got to put AR at the bottom because I'm too much of a hater to go back on it now. So I'm just gonna throw him at the bottom. Like he is an athletic freak, and I've said that every time I talk about him. But when your accuracy is barely above 50%, and you're checking yourself out of games, which I know is a one-time thing, but there's just too many easy jabs to throw at him that I just
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I
um
mean, you got to have some level of accuracy.
no, and you do, and then speaking of accuracy, which we go on to my next one would be Shador, which, I don't think he's the most accurate quarterback. And like I said in my TikTok, I kind of went into that. Well, I didn't kind of go in. I went into his preseason game as a hater. And after watching him at least play in the red zone, I thought that he looked more composed, more confident. He looked like he had more of a spark in him when he gets in that scoring position, which leads me to believe that, he can be a functional quarterback to a degree in the league at some point. Number 3, I'm going to go Penix. No,
okay.
It's not like, I've gone over this and people are going to be rolling their eyes because it's like a broken record thing. I don't hate the guy. I just don't see the magic in him quite yet. I think he's a confident guy. I do, and I admire that. I don't like, quarterbacks that look like they make a throw and you can immediately see there's regret behind every decision. He looks confident. He believes in what he does. I would like to actually see that breakout game, a multi-touchdown game, a game where he keeps them in it when things are falling out, which isn't really fair to you put on a quarterback. But, I want to see that it factor, that spark out of him that I guess me being not a close Falcons or Penix watcher hasn't seen. And also I was unaware until recently that he had 2 ACL tears in college.
Yes, he did. It's a miracle he can still move. Honestly.
No, and I'm not trying to put that into his thing either, but that's just my reasoning. I would just like to see more out of the guy. And then sure. 2, I'm going JJ just because I'm a Vikings, believer. I'm a fan. I think that Kevin O'Connell also could make me a good quarterback in the league, which is saying a lot. And then at 1 is Cam Ward, man. I don't know. There was just something about him, and I talked about this in a video when you watched his preseason game there. For one, he looks 6 inches taller than what he's billed at to me. He looks like a giant, and I think that just might be brute, but he doesn't weigh all that much. But he had kind of a burrowy a factor to him that I saw, which was just the quick release, the snap, kind of like
yeah.
He believes in his throws. He's not afraid to take risks, which is another Burrow thing. So I would just put all my chips on him right now. But I don't think that's really a ranking where people can argue. I think there's a lot of interchangeability there. And yeah,
there's a lot yet to be seen with a lot of these guys. I mean, we're arguing off of very small sample sizes, but I definitely see what you see in Ward with like that conviction in his decision making. I think if anyone's going to be this year's 2024 Jaden Daniels or 2023 CJ Stroud, it's going to be him. He's the type of guy that could really uplift the team if everything goes right for him.
No, like I said, I'm all in. Chips are in, and I'm going to be very disappointed if he's.
I respect it.
If he's not good. Last little segment here. We just got some questions. I threw out a tweet yesterday that you saw. Thank you for retweeting that, by the way. And a lot of the questions were just, who would win in a boxing match, a fight? And obviously I would, so we don't even get into that. But
I mean, I can fly out to Minnesota if that's what it takes.
we don't need that. So first question we got is from JAR, and he said, other than Tyrod Taylor or Jason Verrett, who is the most unlucky player in NFL history?
Ooh, the most unlucky player in NFL history. I mean, right now I'm thinking about poor Rondale Moore, who just tore his ACL in August for 2 straight years.
It's hard.
Probably Andrew Luck or RG3. Honestly, that draft class might come to mind for me. I mean, those were just 2, I think, borderline generational talents that were taken away from us. 2 guys with Hall of Fame upside that were really, really playing well early in their careers. So, but those are guys that come to mind for me.
Andrew Luck is a soft subject because I loved him, and up until I saw him where he lost all of his muscle, I held on to hope that he was going to come back. He was a baller, man. He was a football player. That's the only way to put it. He was a good one too. I would have to say Tariq Cohen for mine. Tariq Cohen, guy that continuously keeps tearing something, and I think he finally got a job last year and then got cut, and I don't know if he's still playing, but he had a really unfortunate 3-4 years there.
2018 Tariq Cohen was something on that Bears team that, he was ending aside.
So
he was pretty up.
Do you remember Ronnie Hillman? Rest in peace.
I do not, actually.
Oh, dude, you got it. He was on the Vikings for a bit, but he was mainly with Denver. Dude, this guy was like 5'8". He reminded me just like Cohen. He would just annoy the hell out of you because he was just like this little fly. Just going
like a Darren Sproles type of thing. Yes. Yeah, no, I see. I love those kinds of backs. We need more of them in the game right now. I can't even think of many guys in that archetype.
No, that are that small anymore. No, because I think that a lot of people take size into more of a consideration. Even though I'm one of those people. I see a small quarterback and I'm like, but Next question we have is from Sad Saints fan. He says, "What's the worst NFL game you've ever watched?"
Oh, I know my answer. It's Colts versus Broncos in 2022. One of Russell Wilson's first games in Denver against
Oh,
the washed Matt Ryan. That's the worst game I've ever watched. I mean, oh my God. Those interceptions that he threw, how Matt Ryan's offensive line was just getting him killed. I mean, oh my gosh. Stephon Gilmore pass breakup to win the game. That was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. And it was only like week 3, and I already knew that both of those teams had absolutely no hope for the rest of the season. And they had kind of interesting quarterback additions in the offseason, but I was just like, no. I'm
Dude,
cool on that.
That Russell Wilson, when he went there, that was like one of the most insane failures outside of Deshaun Watson. Like, I was so certain he was going to be so good.
No, I believed in the trade. I didn't think he had really fallen off late in Seattle. I also remember this game against Houston early in the season where he kept throwing the ball away and the fans kept booing him.
Yeah.
It was like they couldn't get anything going. I was like, oh my gosh, this is an actual disaster playing out in real time. I don't know if we'll see anything like that anytime soon. I think the Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson incidents might scare more teams off from like making these big quarterback trades.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they think they definitely put the fear into some teams of, hey, we can't put all of our chips because, our entire future can ride on the line of it. I would say the worst game I think I've ever watched live, and this was this last year or 2 years ago now. It was the Vikings Raiders. It was 3-0. I think it was last year. No, it was.
I thought about that. Yeah,
it was 2 years ago. With Josh Dobbs was the quarterback. That was the worst game ever. Like and I had my family over, and I'm trying to make it entertaining for the kids, and it's like, you guys better go play Mario Kart because this isn't going to get better. Like, it was, oh my gosh, what a disaster.
They're never going to watch football with you again after that.
No, thankfully they do love football. They're just Viking fans to the heart, like their dad, so they have a little delusion in them. But so do I.
There you go.
And the final question we have here is from Downset Hut, and he's just asking. And we hope this doesn't happen. I know you're just as big of a Bryce Young fan as I am. But let's say injuries are not a factor this year. He goes out there and he's just not good. They're going to move on, right? Is it time or is it not?
I mean, I'll say this. This is how I feel about Bryce Young going into the season. He's not playing for his job, but he's probably playing for an extension. I think if this season is underwhelming for Bryce, they're probably just going to... I don't know. It depends what position they're in the draft, obviously. Could it get a little Justin Fieldsy where they might ship him off this offseason? Yes. I don't know, man. I think as long as he doesn't look like weeks 1 through 2, Bryce, like if it's something between that and how good he was late in the season, I think they give him another year. That's my expectation, but definitely, if he has an underwhelming season, I think we can write him off as a franchise guy, and he might just be, one of those lower-level starters that starts to bounce around the league a little bit. That's really what I think he's playing for, but I don't think he's going to be a backup anytime soon, or I don't know.
I mean, I hope that doesn't happen. I'm kind of torn on it because it's the NFL. We've seen a lot of really crazy things. We saw the Falcons sign a guy for $180 million and draft a quarterback at 8 overall last year. Like that was nuts in itself. So, commitment is only as really good as the guy who his word that's giving that commitment. And the thing with Bryce is that they gave up a boat to get that pick, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like a boat.
3 firsts.
So it's like, this will be Bryce's 3rd year. If he goes out there and he's, if he can go out there and be, who's even an example of this? Just somebody, if he can go out there and be a Justin Fields, I think he'll be safe. You know what I mean? And that doesn't need to be a lot. Justin Fields, I mean, as much as I want to root for the guy, he just hasn't been a lot. But he can't go out there and be like Anthony Richardson. If he does that, I think he's going to get...
Oh, yeah. I mean, Anthony Richardson is the quarterback I have my eye the most on in terms of, like, are they playing their last season on the team that drafted them? But, Bryce is under pressure for sure. He has a ton to play for this year. He has a lot to prove. There are a lot of skeptics that are saying that the end of last season was a flash in the pan and, people were babying him and going crazy over really not that good of stat lines, which I just disagree with because I just think that he was making a lot of really impressive throws. I think it was legitimate, but he has to build on that or else, I can't really say Carolina has all the pieces in place to become a contender one day. That's really what we're going to see this year is Carolina just this sort of mediocre young team, or are they a team that's going to start making playoff runs moving forward?
Yeah, this is unrelated to, and that's a great analysis, by the way. My mind was just wandering as you were saying that. As kind of thought of a stupid question on it. But who do you think would be a better tight end, Joe Milton or Anthony Richardson?
Anthony Richardson has a little more meat on the bone, I think. I mean, but also he's more injury prone. That's tough. That's tough. I'll say AR just because I don't really see Joe Milton running through people. I mean, he has the cannon and he's tall. He's just not as beefy. I think Anthony Richardson could be a real like Darnell Washington type if he really developed there. I could see him. I could see the vision for that. I could. It's just the injuries that worry me, which doesn't make sense because he's one of the biggest quarterbacks in the league. It's like, how has Josh Allen never gotten hurt and AR always gets hurt? It just doesn't quite make sense to me.
Josh Allen's all natural, baby. I'm just kidding. Everyone's all natural, I hope. But as far as the video goes there, man, I think that about does it. I want to say thank you so much again for taking time out of your day and coming to hang out with me. And anybody that hasn't, for some reason, heard of Elite Takes, I mean, he's everywhere. You're on. Do you make YouTube?
I do a bit of YouTube now. I'm working on it. Yeah, mainly on TikTok and X, though. Just search up Elite Takes and I'll be there. But yeah, Instagram, too. That's what I'm working on as well.
Did you get Madden, by the way?
I did not. I tried to do the EA Play, and for some reason it's not working on PlayStation. I don't know what happened. I don't want to demand a refund because it was like $5. It is what it is, but I think I'm just gonna wait for it to go on sale at this point.
Well, right now, if you I'm assuming you got the early version of college football.
Yes.
So if you go to the store, Madden will be $50 for you right now. So that's kind of a good deal. I don't know.
Consider that.
Yeah, I got it, and I wasn't going to. I was even talking to you so big about it because I didn't get it last year. I caved, man. Franchise, it's worth it. It's worth every penny.
It's worth it?
It's so much fun. So I've already put more hours than I did in college football 26. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. College football 26, I'm starting to sour on it a little bit. I think reality's setting in a bit there.
No, I didn't.
So I hope Madden is better.
I didn't want to be that guy, but I kind of dipped out of college football. So
fair enough.
Again, though, thank you, man, for everything. And guys, if you want to see Nico back, which I have a feeling we will, make sure to give this video some love and go show him love on everything. So Nico, appreciate it, and yeah,
absolutely.